Hi, I'm BryCoxWORKSHOPS.com. I've got some great questions today. This is from a photographer in Russia named Alexandr, and he sent me a very long email with a lot of detailed questions. And I thought these would be great for some of my Q&A videos. So I've broken them up. I have some other videos on some of these, but the next section here I want to talk about is he has a question on metering ambient and flash. So this is very complicated for a lot of photographers, and it really shouldn't be, but I think it comes with practice. So the first thing you need, of course, is always a meter. This is an older meter. This is the Sekonic L as in Lima, 75DR as in Delta Romeo, right? The newer one is very much like this. It's got a slight number change. I don't think it's 758, but it's very much like this. And it's got a full digital readout. But what I like about this, it's got a spot meter if you would like, so I can look at maybe the shadow off in that distance, but I can also then do dome up, dome down in the studio, on location, flash, ambient, right? But at the very minimum, you do not need a spot meter. You just need flash and ambient capabilities. So Sekonic has some meters like in the couple $100 range that are great. So check out your local camera store. I really like, here locally, Pictureline in Utah, or out of the country or out of the state, I always go to Arlington Camera in Texas. So either one of those two stores are my favorites. Check them out and just ask them what meter they recommend in your price range and get a meter. It's a basic for all photographers. Okay, so now I got my meter, I'm on location, and I've got a subject, a model, a family, a little kid, whatever it is, a wedding couple. I'm on location and I've got ambient light. I'm not in the studio in my scenario. We're outside, we've got trees, we've got shade. So the first thing we want to do is measure the ambient. So we change it to the little sun, which is ambient meter. Got that. And now I change it to flash and I meter the flash. And now I have to balance those two. So how do you balance them? The best way I like to think about it is imagine ambient on this side and flash on this side. I can have a lot of ambient or low ambient. I can have a lot of flash or low flash. And I think a great way to start is to figure out what that ambient is and then match it with flash plus a little. So let's say we're on a dark day. It's pretty dark outside. Maybe it's twilight, sunset. We want that sunset to just pop. Maybe it's a cowboy and a sunset. And we got to make him look amazing, make the sunset look amazing. We don't want to do a lot of digital drop-in backgrounds that looks cheesy and fake anyway. So how do we do it? We meter that background. Pop. We got it. We know what it is. And then we meter that flash. Pop. And then so basically it's a low ambient. And so should we have a lot of flash? A lot of times people think it's dark. I need a lot of flash to compensate for the darkness. What happens is now we've got this big discrepancy. Our exposure is only like in this range, right? Our camera can only see a little bit outside of where our exposure is. So if we're flashing this bright and we only can see this much, all of this is blackness, which we don't see the sunset, we don't see the cows, the field, we don't see anything. If we can instead bring that clear down, right? So there's our flash, here's our total exposure, and there's our ambient. We get it all in that same exposure. That's the idea. And I usually want just a little bit more than the ambient, because that little bit more means that my direction's coming from my main light. Right here I'm in my studio shooting video, and there's my main light, and that's creating direction. And it's sculpting me, and it's at the right direction, the right angle. I've metered it, just like I would outside. So what if it's a bright sunny day? I'm here in Utah, top of a mountain, white, snow. It's winter, I'm skiing, I want to add a little flash, I'm doing a commercial shoot maybe on the top of a mountain. Where's that ambient? It's brighter than F16. It is like 22 because I've got direct sun at like 9,000 feet up, and I've got everything's a reflector in all directions, and so it is just as bright as bright. So where do I need that flash? I need as much power as I can get, plus a tad, which means I need some awesome studio lights. Can't just use little lights. I need big high production lights like Pro Photo or something with some power, right? And I'm just gonna pow, because here's my ambient, so I gotta come clear up plus a little. And that extra little bit over the ambient is gonna give me my direction. It's gonna create the shadow where you want it and overcome any of the problems with the sun. So okay, so diving into his questions, he asks, once you've metered the ambient and set the camera to those values at a certain distance, does that change if you change your flash distance? Yes, because the sun doesn't change. I can go here and I can go there. The sun is still the same distance away. So it's still 93 million miles away or whatever it is, right? So that's still the same. My exposure from me is going to be the same as long as I'm in the sun, or if I'm in the shade, as long as I'm in the shade, or deep shade. It will change if I go from sun to shade to deep shade, or sun to overcast. The ambient's going to change. But as long as I'm in just direct sun, it doesn't change. But the flash does change, because flash, think of like a flashlight. If I bring a flashlight closer to the wall, it gets brighter. If I pull it away, it gets dimmer. And how much dimmer? It's called the inverse square law. I got a whole video on that on my website as well. So what I want to do is keep that distance the same. How do I know? I usually kind of measure with my arm. If I'm going to move it, I measure with my arm. And what do? Immediately pull out my flash, double check it, and then do a triple check with my histogram. And he asks, but what if that spikes off to the right or left? Do I have to adjust? Yes, you have to adjust something. You have to adjust something. What do you adjust? That's up to you. You could turn the flash up or down. You could move it further and closer, but you have to get a perfect exposure on every shot. That is the goal. And then he asks, if I keep the flash model distance the same, but now we're shooting in dark shade, do I need to take into account the new ambient exposure? Yes, because now the background, the ambience dropped, so what happens to my flash? It has to come down to match, or otherwise I'm going to have a really dark background just by stepping into the shade. So yes, if I get my flash set up and I kind of do a quick measure with my arm, or maybe I'm holding I go, this is the model and here's my flash. So there's my distance right there. And I just measure that right there. I hold the bar, boom, there's my distance. So if I move anywhere else, there's my general starting point, remeter, pop. That's one of the reasons why you meter at the person's face and not halfway, or just kind of generally hold it anywhere. It's from the flash to the person, that's the distance we're measuring, because you change that distance, we change our exposure. So I hope that helps. He asked another question on white balance. I'll answer that in another video. But if you have any questions, photographers, check out more of my videos. I have free videos and I have big, extensive courses on nothing but lighting and expression and all the workflow and everything like that, all at my website, which is my name, BryCoxWORKSHOPS, BryCoxWORKSHOPS.com. All right, you guys, until next time, America.